How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Are we going to talk Crazy Eight?
We are going to talk Crazy Eight.
Okay. So, Crazy Eight. It's a figure eight. We're going to have a graphic come up that you can
Yeah.
see, but this has been so powerful in my life because when I feel stuck, this explains why. So, you ever been stuck?
All the time.
Yeah, right? We get stuck. We just get stuck. And the Crazy Eight, I didn't even name it that. I was somewhere, I think it was in Colorado, and we were going through this with a agency, and somebody came up with it. Like we worked all day on it, and then it was like, "Are we doing the Crazy Eight again today?" And I was like, "Well," like because it wore me out yesterday, and I need more time on it. And
Okay.
so it helped them. It's 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 frustrating, but it's so crystal clear on why we get stuck.
hmm
So
Yeah.
if you imagine this Crazy Eight shape, and this graphic explains it so well. So if you're listening, somehow get a picture, go to the video and get a picture of this graphic so you can follow along. But we'll start now and just kind of walk through it. So you have a situation that comes up, and um, you have an intention. Our situations that come into our life require us to act on them. And we have these intentions, and a lot of times the intention is to protect ourselves, right? So that's our first kind of, we don't even have to think about that. We've crafted those coping mechanisms, we've crafted those strategies, we've crafted all of that all our whole life. And our intention first is this getting too close? This situation, do I feel disrespected? Do I feel hurt? Do I feel left out? Whatever it is,
hmm
it's stemming back to something that was maybe hurtful in our past, right? Our
Yeah.
heart. We talked
Mhm.
about heart work.
Yeah.
Well, when you're stuck, sometimes the things that you haven't worked on,
Yeah. They're like weights.
they weigh you down, right?
hmm
And we talk about the backpack, and you've got a backpack full of rocks that you're carrying around, and then somebody puts a pebble, and you're like, okay, listen, I cannot take any more weight.
Right.
It's a big deal. And you're like, well, it's just this little pebble. You haven't carried the backpack that that
hmm
person may be carrying, right?
Yes.
So this is where, okay, if you go through laps on the bottom of the eight, so imagine a figure eight, the bottom loop is called the victim loop, and the top loop is called the accountability loop. So we've got these two options. If you think about, okay, how am I going to be accountable to my own growth, right? This is where you're giving yourself permission to grow. But what does that look like?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Well, this is a guide for that. It explains that when a situation comes up, we have an intention that leads to a choice. My first choice is I can ignore it, say everything's good. I've learned how to stuff this down. Or I can recognize, oh, this situation has brought up, I don't think I have a healthy intention here.
Yeah.
So then on the bottom, I can ignore it. That leads to, I can then deny it, doesn't really even exist. Or I can then begin to blame somebody else. I can rationalize why they're wrong and I'm right. I can resist, and then I can hide. And then I go back to the same intention. And guess what? I do another lap and another lap and another lap. That's the victim loop.
That sounds awful, but I think we can all think of times that we've done this,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's exhausting and
It
frustrating and hurtful and all these things.
and we don't even have to think about it. We naturally
Just do it.
I mean, it goes back to the very, and this isn't to get too like, you know, into scripture, but from the very beginning in Genesis, it talks about Adam and Eve. You can have all this fruit out of all these trees, but not this one. And that's the one they have the fruit of. And then God goes, "Hey, what happened?" And Adam goes, "It was the woman you gave me. She did it." It's the blame game. It's
Yeah,
that it comes to us naturally to be
right.
in this victim loop. It's somebody else's fault. It's how we are protecting, we think we're protecting, but really,
Sure. Because if I did something bad, so it's the difference between guilt and shame.
mm,
And we will automatically go to shame
yeah,
instead of guilt. So it's not, so guilt being I did something bad, shame is I am bad.
right.
But a lot of times we did something bad and we instead carry the shame,
Yes.
and then we stick in this victim loop of deny and blame and ignore and try to rationalize why we did it, all these things,
Yeah.
try to stuff it down when instead to just go, oof, I messed up.
Yep. Yep. And I think that comes back, if you got like super um just maybe growing up, there was the hammer would come down really heavy on you if you messed up.
Yes,
You learned to hide your mess up,
absolutely.
but you still
Mhm.
carried that shame, right?
Yes.
So that's just something we come by naturally.
Mhm.
And so here's a way to look at, okay, if I'm going to be accountable for my own growth and I'm going to give myself permission to grow, let's go back to that situation, that intention. Okay, I recognize, okay, wait a minute. My intention here is I want to grow. So I
Mhm.
have a choice to make. I think there was a situation where I may have messed up. My intention is to grow. I want to be safe. I don't want
Yeah.
it to be, hurtful, but I'm going to make a choice and recognize there is a problem here. There was a gap in what I said I was going to do and then what actually happened.
Right.
And that gap, I'm recognizing that it didn't quite go like I thought it would. So I'm going to own my part of that. Okay, what is that? I'm going to start to look and then I'm going to say, okay, you know what? I didn't really follow through, or it just didn't, through miscommunication or through, circumstances out of our control. Sometimes it was just, I made a mistake and made a bad
Yeah.
decision. Okay, so once you own it, the next place you go to is forgive. First person you have to forgive is yourself,
Yes.
right?
Which is usually the last.
We use, or if any at all, right?
Ever. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
So learning to forgive yourself and say, okay, this was a mistake. I recognize it. I'm going to own my part of it. It was simply a mistake. I'm not going to carry the shame in this because I'm in the accountability loop. I'm going to grow through
Yeah.
this.
Hmm.
And you know what? That's a victory. So
Absolutely.
forgiveness brings victory. So if you have forgiveness, and then you say, who else do I need to forgive? Well, that may be that part of it, but let's just stay focused on me being accountable for my growth.
Yeah.
So now I move to self-examine. Okay, how did the wheels come off this? What was the real actual cause of it? What could I have done differently to prevent this gap that
Yeah.
happened? Okay, well, I don't know. Well, maybe could I ask somebody? I need to
Mhm.
learn.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm putting in a we were putting in new cabinets and um, there there was a lot of mistakes I was making, right?
Sure.
And I couldn't understand these goofy, that's like the directions were horrible. And even
Yeah.
when you bring yourself to read the directions and they're horrible, you're like, well, I just got to figure this out,
Yeah.
right? But thankfully, YouTube has got instruction for everything.
Yes.
So we ultimately figured it out. But we had to be open to learning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as I recognize there's a problem, I own my part of it, I forgive myself. I look and I self-examine, what could I have done different? Where could I learn? Okay, now I need to take action. How do I go make this right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm in that accountability loop, my whole mindset is completely different. So my intentions aren't, how do I look in this situation? Am I okay with making mistakes? A lot of my life, I was not, and I would hide from it and deflect and discount everybody else
Yeah.
so I didn't look bad.
And most people do that because we don't want to be perceived as bad, and mostly we don't want to feel bad.
Right. We don't want to carry another stinking pebble of shame ever,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because our backpack is big enough,
Mm-hmm.
because we've never learned how to forgive ourselves.
And I think that's it, right? When if somebody else is disappointed in us on top of the disappointment we already feel towards ourselves, that's
Another rock,
that
another
yep,
boulder,
another.
and it's so heavy,
Absolutely.
so heavy. So as you look at the lap of the bottom
Mm-hmm.
is the victim loop. The top one is the accountability loop. I will find myself totally committed to the accountability loop, and somehow I wake up and look around and I'm in the victim loop.
Whoops.
How did I get here? Here I am doing it again. I'm already down at blame. When I'm blaming somebody, it's like, how did I end up here? I'm committed to. So then it's like, all right, here's a really cool thing. If you've got the graphic and you haven't, or you haven't seen it on the video yet, this is where you really need to push pause, find the graphic, because I want to show you something. So I'm going to give you a second to do that. All right. In the Crazy Eight, what connects it is our intentions. We have a choice. Well, watch what happens here. The opposite of recognize is ignore. The opposite of own is to deny. The opposite of blame is to forgive. Rationalizing, its opposite is self-examine. Resisting, the opposite is learn. Hide, the opposite is take action. So this loop, both of these loops show you the mirror of the other. So we can feel like, oh, I'm accountable. I want to grow. I want to get better. But we can be looking at things from the wrong side.
So, with that said, I feel like I'm heading in the accountability loop. I think that I'm doing a good job. Is it possible to get lost and then find yourself in blame and then go, oh, wait, I need to like redirect
Yeah,
the course? So, okay, I'm blaming. How do I do the opposite? I need to forgive myself and I need to let go of any other person's role in this
right,
and hop back up and then can I
right.
rejoin?
So if you find, so it always comes back to that choice, right? So situation happens, and we should think about a good situation that would be relatable. But you can plug in anything in there. You can plug in a disagreement, and then you react wrong because you feel like you're being accused. Um, I'm just taking, I wouldn't know anything about that, but I'm just saying that could be in my life. We have a situation. I was supposed to do something. I got busy doing something else. Could have been a noble thing that I was doing. But the bottom line is, I said I was going to do something and it didn't happen. And
Yeah.
then if that happens enough, that begins to create hurt
Yeah.
in the people around you, right? So by owning it, um, and recognizing it. So I think wherever you find yourself, you're like, oh, take your example of, I'm blaming somebody else for this when actually I need to be up here at forgive. I would recommend going, okay, let's reevaluate the situation. If my intention took me this way, that means it was probably just I felt threatened.
Mm,
I felt maybe under attack. I felt maybe disrespected, or um, this is where journaling can really be helpful because you can see patterns of, oh, I went through a situation. Here's what happened. Here's where I first went. And this is what I was starting to do. And then when you write and you look back over what you've been journaling over months or years, you realize, how come I keep going back to that
yeah.
same thing? That begins to tell us there's a heart issue there that is really tender, is really
Yeah.
like needs to be renovated, right?
I've not been a journaler for so
Really?
long. Yep, for as much as I recommend people journal,
It's
I know,
it's
biggest
a
hypocrite. I
yeah.
mean, I think back to, like being little and I had like a
Oh
diary,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
write about your day, but nothing like that. And I would say maybe the last 3 months, I don't know that I think it's more narrative. Like I
Mm,
notice something that isn't going well for me. So then I journal about that.
mm.
And okay, where did that start? What's my first memory of this issue?
That's good.
And and then what is that path forward? And when I wrote that, I mean, there was one that I wrote pages and pages, and I didn't even realize I had that much to say about it. But when I would read back through, I was like, oh, there's a theme.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a
You
theme.
start to pick them out, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
It was good. Yeah. Big hypocrite.
So I think a good way to think about journaling is do it in bite-sized pieces. Pick a
Yeah.
start and a stop. Say, I'm going to journal this week. From this, I'm going to journal each day this week. Pick a start and a stop. Just don't leave it open ended and say, I'm either a journaler or I'm not.
Sure.
Just say, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna have, you know, 7 entries in this journal, and I'm gonna commit to it this week. If you do that, you add one more week. Well, you add one more week after that. That's 21 days. That's what it takes to make a habit, right?
Yeah.
So you begin to see the value in it. And here's the other thing. We talk about how our minds write a story. We start to perceive things. We start to take the bits and pieces and we start to say, oh, well, this must be for surely what's happening.
Hmm.
And that person is completely, blatantly against me. And it usually 100, I mean, close to 100% of the time, it's a misunderstanding of
Yeah.
something, right?
Right.
So, or a lack of communication or breakdown of communication,
Yes.
something around that. This is a beautiful communication tool. When you can say, hey, the situation last night, my initial intention, I now see was to let you know you're not putting another rock in my backpack of shame. I'm not wrong. That was my initial intention because I just obviously carrying more than that than I thought I was. So I want to come back though and make this different choice to say I recognize that there's a gap or I let you down or there was a miscommunication or I hurt you or
Hmm.
whatever it is, my response and my intention to protect me hurt you.
Yeah.
That's not really what I just didn't want to be hurt, but I see it hurts you. So I'm going to recognize that our situation, and here's what usually happens in my world, this situation wasn't the problem. It was my intention and how I reacted.
Right.
That's what causes more of the hurt. We forget what the situation even was.
Right.
So when I come back and say, let's go back to that, what the real situation was. I'm in a better place now. I recognize, um, let me hear you out. I want to own my part in that. I've forgiven myself. I'm going to ask you to forgive me for hurting you. I
Hmm.
recognize that. Um, and then as you share what you did in the accountability loop, can you imagine what the other person is going to be like? You've really done some work on this. Wow. Okay, well, I I probably didn't react the best either, right?
Hmm.
Or I Thank you for sharing this with me. This makes a lot more sense because I was wondering why this was such a big deal to you.
Hmm.
Oh, you thought this was an attack or a, so this is so incredibly helpful in a communication tool, one with yourself. But again, asking yourself, is my intention to protect myself or is my intention to grow?
Yeah.
And what you will see is it's actually safer in the accountability loop. And that's what most people don't realize,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
right?
The victim loop is not a good place to be. I mean, think of all the hiding and the shame and the ignoring. It's kind of like being in the woods or a safari, I guess, and you're going to be hunted. It's not about when it's going to
Yeah,
come, it's
yeah,
or not if it's going to come, it's when it's going to come. All of those things are going to come up.
yeah. And you think about this victim loop, it's a trap. You will get stuck in it and you will get so exhausted going lap after lap after lap after lap. And a victim never gets better. It's a trap. So we're talking to people, we're searching for any way out of it, and they just begin to tell us what we want to hear and they help us do this. Now you're helping me stay stuck in this,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? This is why this is so incredibly, this is why it's the crazy eight. It is the pathway where a person can say, wait a minute, I want to be accountable for my growth. What does that even look like? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to go and I'm going to say, okay, journal heading, situation. This situation, I'm going to run it through the accountability loop. I'll take some action steps out of that. And then I'll say, okay, how do I go make that right? Okay, next situation. I write that down. This is another situation I'm dealing with.
Hmm.
Okay, my intention, I saw that I did this, but so I think if you get this graphic and start to look at and start to practice it, this is one of those things that you can say, hey, let's just work through the crazy eight. Sometimes there's crisis and it's we go to the crazy eight, but if you
Yeah.
will practice this, this is a skill that can help communication be incredible. Um, and for me, I know other guys are in this boat. We don't often have a lot of skills around communication. We are really good at making everybody else feel like, you know, they've got to, walk on eggshells or we come back with a very stern boundary because there are no more rocks going in my backpack, right?
Hmm.
And then that starts to, it's the whole fog that we create. It's the fear, the obligation, and the guilt. And that is a sign you're in the victim loop. That's the fog. So clarity comes when you can start to work through this and joy returns, momentum returns, communication returns, it grows. And is a, this is what I long for and desire for my whole family, my house. This is the soil I want to create. That's good soil.
Yeah, that accountability loop. What I keep hearing from you is that it's about ourselves. And I think that's the hard part. We have to remember that once we get to the blaming and what other people are doing, that's the victim loop. Absolutely, other people could have influenced the situation, could have
Mhm.
all sorts of things. Absolutely, but we can't control
That's right.
that.
That's so huge. I am not responsible for going and changing another person's heart. It can't be done. It's
Right.
impossible. I can work and I can grow. I have to be accountable for me.
Hmm.
And in a family, in a relationship, in a work environment, in whatever group you're dealing with where situations come up, if everybody is operating in the accountability loop, now you begin to have a language of how communication goes and say, you
Yeah.
know what, I realized I was carrying some shame. I was blaming myself.
Mm.
And I had to deal with, so when you start to see these, am I blaming? Wow, that's where just writing down some examples of situations, practicing them, going through them, do some practice runs. Just pick a situation. It doesn't have to be something bad, or you might have some that, well, this seems to always be a situation. Let's
Right.
just process through it. Why do we feel that way? So having some time to practice, this would be an example of great hard work.
Yeah, I think you are so right. And this is a really good, easy example to follow that I think everyone can connect to.
Yeah. So let's just do this. Let's just take a moment here. We may have to, but let's just think about a situation that maybe a a couple or a family would deal with. I think it's so much. It's like our stress comes from our spouse, our kids, our work, right?
Hmm.
So it can be any one of those situations. That's where most of it comes from. There's other outside factors, but if we take a work situation, well, it'd probably be good to plug some of that in. And maybe that's something we can do is really think about um, what coming back to this and walking through with a work situation, spouse situation, and a family kid situation. You take those three that and just give some examples. So I can't really come up with. I mean, I've got some. Um,
Well, let's get thinking of a work situation where I think there's a lot of people that maybe there's a personality difference between them and their direct supervisor. And say maybe, you know, the direct supervisor has a lot of, critical feedback, or they feel like the expectations are higher for them
mhm,
than for their colleagues. And maybe they decide I'm gonna shoot the my supervisor an email of, I'm not doing well, you are so hard on me, I need you to relax. Maybe it's not the nicest email, whatever. So situation is they feel targeted.
mm,
They feel, right, that it's unfair
yeah,
treatment.
I think that is probably a really good example. Is I feel like I'm being singled out here, and I'm being overlooked
Yeah.
for things.
Hmm.
I'm being blamed for things. Whatever, it feels like I'm being singled out.
Yeah. Expectations are higher for
Mhm.
me. Things are okay for other people to do, but not me.
Yeah,
Okay.
very common situation at work. So your intention is,
To be heard,
and
right?
and and you're there because you care and you
Yeah.
want to do well. You want to, but you feel like it's gone on so long now. It's obvious you've written this story
Right.
that that person is against you.
Yes.
Okay, so now you have a choice, and this is where most likely you've had a few laps in the victim loop. You've
Hmm.
ignored it for a little while,
Yep.
haven't said anything about it. Um,
And eventually it feels insane
mm,
because you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right? Which is the definition of insanity. So you keep ignoring it, you keep denying it, you keep rationalizing it, and then usually it builds up enough that they're like, fine, I need to do something about it.
right, and there's a blow up, or there's so maybe that's where it comes to this. You've dealt with it so long now. There's this um, smart comment, or maybe you blow up a little bit on your
Hmm.
supervisor, um, and now you have a situation.
Hmm.
Okay, so the longer you ride in the victim loop, the longer you have not been getting better.
Yep.
The more painful it becomes, the more
Mhm.
frustrating, the more draining. So um, here's what's interesting. That could stem from other places in your life, but be coming out at work,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they cross over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially if we haven't done good heart work to differentiate, oh, this these feelings are from here and these are from here. And instead, if we keep stuffing them all down, now they're just like this big knot. Like when you throw a whole bunch of rope and chains
Yes.
in a bucket
Yes.
and or hoses, and then you have to try to
It's
like, how did
yeah.
they get this tangled?
Yeah, right. But that's exactly what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah. So you have now this situation, it came out sideways at work, but you're not sure why it did. You're blaming that person for overlooking you. You've written your story, you've made your
Yep.
case, you've been talking to everybody else, helping rationalize the situation, and you don't want to see them in the hallway.
Right.
That means you're over here at Hyde.
Mm.
You have worked through this whole thing. When you don't want to see someone and have face-to-face contact, you have worked all the way over to that high. So then it's like, oh, I'm already to that point.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't good. So then what's the opposite of hide? I got to take action.
Yep.
Okay. We got to have a conversation. I need to go first, look at what my intentions have been. It's been to prove that they are out to get me
Correct.
instead of how can I grow?
Mm-hmm.
So then I work through the intentions. I make a choice and I say, okay, let's go back through all this. Why is this bothering me so bad? Okay, I feel like these are two obvious situations where I felt like I was overlooked and I was the right person for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever, say there's two or three of those, you get those identified, you write them down and say, okay, I'm going to own, you know, what are the possible things? Well, I don't really know why I was overlooked, but I know when I reacted and blew up, that part I can own.
Mm-hmm.
I was really frustrated. Okay. Now it comes to forgive. First, what do I have to forgive myself? Well, that starts to, you got to look inside and say, why was I so mad? Well, I feel like I was being overlooked. Okay. Have you ever felt like that before? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
Which is usually the reason that we feel that way is because it's confirming the irrational narrative that we already tell ourselves in our head.
Yeah. It fits the story.
Yep.
That we've been writing in the victim loop for so long.
Yeah.
So then we say, okay, I got to forgive myself for that. And I don't know why I do that. I just really believed that that's what was happening. I need to forgive. Well, maybe I need to talk to them first before I can forgive. Sometimes it's hard, right? Sometimes you got to say, but forgiving yourself, then you can self examine and look deeper and say, okay, how can I learn? Well, I'm probably going to have to talk to them to see how I can learn.
Yeah.
So that's an action step. Hey, I need to talk to you about what happened the other day. This is the roadmap now that you have to say, I really felt like you were overlooking me and I was in this whole blame and rationalizing it. And when I realized that I didn't even want to see you, I realized I was hiding and I didn't even know why I was hiding. But I'm recognizing that now. I want to own my part of this. Um, I want to forgive you. I'm working on forgiving myself, but I want to learn. So here's the two areas where I felt you overlooked me, where I was best for the job. Can we talk about it? That would probably be a really you would be able to know in that moment that you've taken the steps. How they respond is still on them.
Absolutely.
But a good leader is going to look at that and go, wow, you've you've really done some work on this. And I think really any reasonable person is going to say, okay, let me explain myself. Here were the two reasons why I overlooked you.
Mhm.
Or I didn't overlook you at all. This was, you're going to learn about the situation,
Right.
and it's going to fill in the narrative that you were writing.
Yes, the gaps.
The gaps get filled in. It may confirm some things. It may
Challenge some things.
challenge them. It may totally erase some things. Like, well, that wasn't the situation. I was totally unrelated.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. And so that's where this tool can then take a situation, plug it in, walk it through both sides, and see where you're at.
And what I'm hearing and seeing that this is just a really good roadmap for those hard conversations. For sure, hard conversations with ourselves and heart conversations with
Yeah.
ourselves, but then those difficult or challenging conversations with others
Yeah.
in that accountability loop. And when we stay in the victim loop, we're not having those difficult conversations. And we've talked about before that relationships fail 100% of the time when we're not having the difficult conversations.
Exactly. Okay, so take this right here. You have a situation. Your intention is don't blame me. You are in the wrong because you cannot take another rock in that backpack.
Right.
But actually, what happens is you take rock after rock after rock after rock.
When you cycle that victim loop.
Yes, you are actually adding rock. So the very thing you were trying to protect against, you're actually the cause
Mm-hmm.
because you refused to grow.
Right, because each of that ignore, deny, rationalize, resist, hide are more rocks and
There.
pebbles.
We are our own worst enemy sometimes.
Most of the time.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So then when we can take accountability for our growth, it is so incredibly freeing. You are taking off the whole entire backpack. You're unloading that thing, and it is incredibly freeing. It sounds scary.
Yes.
Accountability is one of those words. Oh, I don't, oh, that means no. This is you are driving it, and you can um, grow through it. It's a new skill, and it helps your communication be effective. Your communication with the actual stories you're writing in your own head, but also with everyone around you. That growth that comes out of that, extremely freeing, extremely powerful. It's maturity coming out.
Yes.
Rather than the immaturity of hiding. So
Really.
there you have it. That's the
Perfect.
crazy 8.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.